Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about a more serious topic, I guess. I mean, my last video was a more serious topic as well, but this kind of just like goes another notch on the serious scale. So I'm going to be talking about my depression story today. And so I'm just going to be talking about when I was diagnosed with depression, how I handled it, how I handle it now, and etc. and etc. So I was diagnosed with depression when I was about 12 or 13. So right around the time when I started puberty. And I don't really remember how the doctor really diagnosed me. I think I just talked to him a bit. I might have filled out some questionnaire stuff. And sure enough, I was diagnosed with depression. And at the time, I didn't really know what depression was. Being that young, you don't fully comprehend what a diagnosis like that is. I mean, in my mind, I was just like, I'm sad all the time, like this isn't fun kind of thing. So having a diagnosis was very refreshing for me. So typically when we think about depression, we think about, how it comes about. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's a chemical imbalance in the brain. The chemical transmitters are off. And while that is extremely true, there are a lot of factors that can impact depression. So some more common factors that can impact depression are family history, stress, life events, all those things that people deal with on the daily. So I'm not really sure if depression runs in my family or not. I'm thinking that if it does run in my family, it probably wasn't documented and it probably wasn't researched as much as it is now. Throughout junior high and high school, my depression pretty much was at a standstill. I wasn't feeling depressed, but I was also on medication, so I think that helped a lot. And then I went to college and I kind of got into a little bit of a slump. It was just a really hard transition for me. I don't do well with change, and I know I don't do well with change. So I was just trying to cope and find a way to deal with the transition of going from high school to college and moving away from home. So all was going pretty well until a couple years ago, I took off a semester of school and traveled around the world for 4 months with my sister. And we were having an amazing time until the last country. So my sister and I were in Italy, and we were at a train station, and my bag with my passport, my camera, my phone, my wallet was stolen from me. And so all of my pictures from the past 4 months of traveling throughout multiple countries, they were all gone in the blink of an eye. So that sent me over the edge. I just went into the most depressive state that I've honestly ever been in. And it was an incredibly tough time for me. The only way I can explain it is you feel like you're drowning while everyone else around you is breathing. That's honestly the only way I can describe it, because when people are like, oh, well, like, what did it feel like? It's hard to explain, because you can be like, oh, I'm sad. But it's like more than sad. It's worse than sad. It's so hard to explain. And so I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go to class. I didn't want to hang out with people. I didn't want to even get out of bed or go outside. I just wanted to be left alone. And it wasn't until my breaking point when I just broke down to my parents and I was like, I'm so depressed. Like, I need to go see somebody for this. I think part of this was also PTSD, because I did have recurring nightmares and visions of it happening over and over again, and it was just a really traumatic life experience for me. And so this was definitely one of those instances where my depression had been at bay, it had been pretty stable, and then a major life event happened and it sent me into a deep depressive state. So I went back to my therapist, we worked out my medication, and once again, slowly but surely, I got a bit better. And here I am today, and I feel great, I feel happy, I still am on medication, and it's something I talk about because I don't want there to be taboo around it. I don't want there to be the stigma of people with depression, So I've only started talking about my depression within the past year or so. Before then, I felt very ashamed and alone to talk about my depression. It's just one of those topics that I was never really sure how to bring up. I mean, I have ADD and OCD as well, and with those, I would tell people, and it was almost sort of glamorized in a way. I'd be like, oh, I have OCD, and they would be like, oh, you must be so good at organizing, or oh, I have ADD, and they'd be like, oh, you must have so many projects going on. And it's like, depression is just kind of like stigmatized still, and it's just, how do you respond to that? So I try to bring up depression as much as I can to just get the stigma away from it. And if I could give advice to people that are going through depression right now, I would just say to take it one day at a time, and that you're not alone. And there's so many people out there that want to help you and that love you and care about you, and that you're not always going to be in a good place. You know, you're going to have to work at feeling better. It's not something that comes natural to people with depression or that are currently going through depression. It is such a tough battle to fight, and it's exhausting and tiring, and you just, some days you do feel like giving up, but I promise if you just keep pushing through it, you will get through it eventually, and you will see the light. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped some of you. I hope it educated you guys as well, and I will see you next time. Bye.